there's so much money in payment processing. So it was easy. Matter of fact, I should have like freaking 10x'd it, but the company I was working with was robbing me because I didn't read the fine print in the contract that they had, that they said, if you don't sign this right now, imagine you fly from Florida to California. You have no ticket to get back home. And they say, if you don't sign this, you lose the opportunity and we're not going to pay for your ticket to get back home. So they kind of forced me to sign it, even though I didn't understand it, even though it looked kind of shady anyway.
Welcome to the We Got Problems podcast with co-hosts Curtis G. Martin, Rhonda L. Brown, and Khalif Johnson Sr., the one and only podcast where solutions get discussed to our community's everyday troubles. Each week, you will hear mind-blowing conversations and actionable tips and strategies that you can implement in your daily life to become more effective. We got problems and we got solutions.
All right, you guys, welcome to the show. This is We Got Problems, where we talk solutions. I'm Curtis G. Martin here with my co-host, Rhonda L. Brown.
Hey, everybody.
I'm here with my other co-host, Khalif Johnson Sr.
Peace, y'all. How y'all doing?
And we have a special guest in the building today. That's KhaazRa MaaRanu.
Yep.
KhaazRa, go ahead and tell the people a little bit about yourself and what it is that you do.
So I am, I like to be known as a family man first. What I do is I started a payment processing company, maybe I think 2011 or so. I started off as a sales rep, literally doing door-to-door sales, going to businesses and trying to get them to switch from their current payment processor to mine. So I did that, and I was, I never had any sales experience. I started off horrible, and then I became like the best salesperson. And then I did that for about maybe 2 years, and I realized that the company I was working with out of California was extremely unethical, extremely successful in terms of making money, but extremely unethical. And so I had to make a decision. I could, become their star child and make a ton of money, or I could say, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore, and just leave all of the income I made behind and go somewhere else. So that's what I did. Went to work with another company as a consultant, and made more money there in 6 months than I had made in the entire 2 years before. And then realized that they were doing the same exact thing, basically just taking advantage of people, right? Because there's a lack of transparency in the industry. That's the professional term, lack of transparency. But really, they're just, cheating people, to be honest with you. Right? Wow. So, and then I got to a point, I said, same thing. I had to make a decision, and I did that. And so I got with the guy where we started our own thing, our own payment processing. But we didn't realize that we didn't really own. So in payment processing, someone signs up, right? And the person who holds the risk, meaning that if anything happens good, they win. But if anything happens bad, they also have to be responsible for it. We didn't realize that we weren't really owners. We were just basically kind of selling the product, but we didn't own the paper. So at the end of the day, whoever we signed up, the company behind us could do anything they wanted to with the client, regardless, right? Because I didn't read the contract, the client didn't read the contract, but the company who had us selling, they put the contract together. So after doing that, we were making mad sales, but we were going backwards in income. I'm like, hold on, how can that be? How can you make more sales but go backwards in income? There's all these little, fees that they kept charging us and charging the client. So finally, after getting robbed ourselves, we decided to take it up to another level. And it took us about 3 years to start something called an FSP, which is like the highest level you can go in Visa, MasterCard, American Express, which stands for full service provider. This is where you hold all the risk, you do all the underwriting, the tech support, the customer service, everything. And so as we were talking earlier, we built this operation up. It was going good. Like, it was really going good. I thought we were probably going to be like at least have a $2-3 billion valuation. And then greed kicked in. And, my business partner got with some guys, and, they started sprinkling the fairy dust on them. And, you can 100x your income and, all these things that entice people to do whatever they need to do in order to make a dollar. And, legal battles over the last 2-3 years. And it's just been pretty crazy, but I learned a whole lot in the process. And now finally got to a moment where we're resolving everything. And, soon it'll just be something that I'll be doing without other partners. So payment processing is what I do. And these are some of the struggles that I'm going through now. And so maybe we'll get into that during this interview.
Hey, so can we back it up a little bit? Can you tell us, how did you become a top salesperson with no experience in 1 year?
Well, I could easily say I had no choice, so either I was going to be homeless. Right? That was one, because I flew out to California, and they gave me some training on how to read merchant statements. Right? We have merchant, like if you ever process, Stripe is popular, and with Stripe, you see how much you made, and then but you can't really do the calculations to determine what your cost is. You just know what you made. So I didn't really understand how to read merchant statements, even though I had 2 weeks training on it. And it's because the math that they taught us only worked at their business, if that makes sense. So there's only math that works with them. So it wasn't like real math, basically. It was just like fudging and finagling numbers. And so when I came back home to Florida to sell, I was trying, I had a gigantic binder, and I was like, the typical corporate salesperson. You could smell a sales guy coming. I look like a sales guy. I talk like a sales guy. And then I'm from Detroit, Michigan. And so after not having any success, after about a month and a half of no success, I said, you know what? Let me just drop that and let me just be me. I grew up in Detroit. I know how to avoid danger at the least, right? And I was very observant, and I just began talking to people. I really do care about people. I really enjoy helping people. I like people. Like, I genuinely like people, which I think is something you need to do in order to be good at sales. I just started communicating with people, man, as people, right? Instead of as a potential client. And another thing that really helped me a lot was the mindset of listening to, I think it was Jim Rohn at the time. And I would just play his recordings in the car. And then I would also have like a whiteboard sitting next to me when I was driving. And I would have all the goals that I wanted to hit in terms of payment processing. And after a while, I think it was a combination of, really wanting to help people, really liking people, listening to Jim Rohn, and having that quote unquote vision board next to me, that absolutely made me the best salesperson.
Okay. What are some of the first businesses that you had a hand in?
In terms of just in general, or in payment processing?
And just in general.
Honestly, you know what? I never really started a business before. I had no experience, which is probably why there were so many fumbles. But I had no previous experience. The only experience I had was, this is going to sound really crazy. I went to school in Newark, New Jersey, in college. I went to college in Newark, New Jersey, and I went to Rutgers. And I happened to come across the group called the Nation of Islam, right, with Farrakhan, those people. And they would give me final call newspapers to sell, right? And I would read it, I could relate to it, and I'd sell those for $1. I think they gave me like 10 or 20 cent profit on it or something like that. That was my only experience in business that I had ever had. And my grandfather owned a church. It was a very, very small storefront church, with bars on it. So it wasn't like a massive mega church or anything like that. And maybe collect an offering, that was the only two. That was it. That was all the business experience that I had before. So I hadn't had any.
Okay. So let's start a little bit. What really got you into doing this? What really was the kicker that made you want to do this?
I never knew about payment processing before going online one day and just realizing, like, I got to do something different, because I was working at an elementary school in Orlando, Florida. And let me back up. I did have experience working for Goldman Sachs as a consultant. I worked for Goldman Sachs for about 2 years. I worked for the Federal Reserve Bank as a consultant for about, I think, maybe 2 years as well. So I had seen, I understood that, wow, people can make money in the financial sector. So I knew that, but I didn't understand the inner workings of how it worked, what skill sets you need, and things like that. And so I moved from New Jersey right before right before 9/11. And I went to school there. I moved to Florida, and I worked at a school, like an elementary school in the inner city. And that was the hardest job I've ever had. I worked my way up literally as a volunteer to making like $8 an hour, then making like $15 an hour. Then they finally brought me on board full time as a technology coordinator. I wrote letters on behalf of the principal. I did crossing guard duty. I did lunchroom duty. I helped. Man, they had me slaving over there. I was helping the dean with discipline. It was right next to a project area in Orlando. It's the only project in Orlando. They would have me going in the project, knocking on people's doors. Hey, your son or child coming to school today? It was crazy. I was building websites. I was behind the video camera. I was in charge of all the tech. I was doing everything. And I was like, you know what? If I can work this hard, making this small amount of money, imagine if I work hard in another field that didn't have a cap. Because I was capped at like I think $36,000 or $38,000 before taxes at my highest. And I had two small children. I said, I just want to be with my children, or maybe I just want to play basketball on the morning. I don't want my time controlled. So that's what really inspired me. So I went online and I found payment processing. It was called merchant services at the time. And I said, man, you can make that kind of money. And I talked to a guy. He told me he had made $16,000 in 1 month. I was like, 16,000. I was like, man, that's half my pay for the entire year. You did that in 1 week. I'm sorry. And I took a chance and I flew out. They actually paid for me to fly out to California. But when I got to the airport, I missed my flight. So I had to pay for my own flight. I tried to fake cry at the airport so they could put me on the next plane because I only had $500 left on my credit card. And I didn't have any money left to pay my bills. And so when I got there, I really didn't almost like burn the boats back home because I quit my job and told them that my auntie was sick. So I didn't really have too much to fall back on. As a matter of fact, I'll be honest with you, man. Khalif, right?
Yes, sir.
I had it was so bad for a couple months that I was going to report myself missing so that because I didn't want to come back home and tell my children's mother and my children, hey, we got to get out of the house. Y'all got to go find somewhere else to live. So I'll figure I would just report myself missing and then figure it out like the prodigal son and then come back home one day and say, hey, we could be a family again. So I didn't have any money. So it was like a combination, man. And I didn't really know too much about other fields besides working a job because I had never been an entrepreneur before. So my back was kind of against the wall for one, because I never knew about payment processing or anything else related to the financial sector.
So you moved around, you gained all this experience. How did you triple your income in 8 months once you start to make that money?
Oh man, I forgot about that. I definitely was making $36,000 or $38,000 tops at the school, and it was really from payment processing because the way payment processing works, maybe I should say this, maybe I shouldn't, but it's profit in everything you do. And when you're a sales rep in payment processing, you get to share in the wealth on each account that you bring in. So I brought in a ton of accounts, like a ton of accounts. There's payment, then there's equipment like POS systems, like the little devices that go on your phone or the ones that go in the restaurants. There's so much money in payment processing. So it was easy. Matter of fact, I should have like freaking 10x'd it, but the company I was working with was robbing me because I didn't read the fine print in the contract that they had, that they said, if you don't sign this right now, imagine you fly from Florida to California. You have no ticket to get back home. And they say, if you don't sign this, you lose the opportunity and we're not going to pay for your ticket to get back home. So they kind of forced me to sign it, even though I didn't understand it, even though it looked kind of shady anyway. So even though I was making more money than I'd ever made before, I was still being taken advantage of at the same time. So it was easy to triple X. And then the next year I quadrupled it, but I probably should have been making way more than even that.
Okay. You help a lot of people with sales experience. Do you have like any courses or mentorship programs that you do, or, just to sell or teach people those skills?
I created something for our sales team like years and years ago on how to sell. I think the first part of it was mindset, right? And I know that sounds cliche, But the reason I did that is because we would, I would bring sales reps in and train them. And, if they did what I asked them to do and they followed the blueprint, everybody would always make 6 figures in recurring income within at least 6 to 8 months. But there were some people who, because like it was just something in their mind that where they didn't think they can make it, or they didn't think they were going to be successful at it, or because this one or two people told them no, they wouldn't succeed. So I created that. I never really put it out there for the public. It was for our sales teams, because we were always bringing in salespeople. But last year or year before last, I think I did create something called Sales in 30 Days or something like that. And it does teach you how to sell, but it's not so much tactical as it is like strategic and teaching ethics and things like that. Because I think in sales, people say, just do whatever you got to do and say whatever you got to say. And in the payment space in particular, there's so many people who will say whatever just to get the sale, even though it's unethical. And that was a big thing for me, is to teach, like, don't be unethical. Like you can be very successful in sales and be ethical at the same time. So I did create that. It's called 30 Days or something like that in sales. And I can send you the link if you like.
Okay. Well, following up on that, like, what do you mean when you say turn clients into raving fans?
I think so. If I came to you with an offer and I told you that, hey man, I'm going to help you make all this money, you don't know me, so you're going to have your guard up. You're not really going to trust me, right? But I could be that same stranger, and then you on the side of the road with your car broke down, you will allow me to help you, right? Mm-hmm. Even though you don't know me. But if I came to you and said, hey, I'm gonna help you make $1 million, you're gonna be like, I don't trust you. You're gonna have your guard up. So the way I help people become raving fans is, first of all, helping them remove a pain in their life or a problem in their life. And then after I did that, my follow-up was like on point. You could always reach me. I was accessible to you. And I would go out of my way to ensure that whatever I said I was going to do, I did. And whatever the company was going to do, I tried to make sure that they would do as well, which didn't happen in some cases, which is what caused me to leave those companies. So they became raving fans because they could depend on me and they can trust that I would do whatever I said I would do. And even if I didn't know the answer, I would get the answer for them.
So you said it's been a lot of taking advantage of people in the payment processing industry. How do you stay true to yourself? Because I see you all the time on social media. You always do the family thing. You still helping people. You get out there. You mingle with other entrepreneurs. So you have good clientele and a good contact list that I see. So how do you maintain your integrity amongst all of these people when the payment processing industry is cutthroat like it is?
Woo! Man, I'm telling you, I'm not going to lie. That is a tough one right there, because my business partner was my best man in my wedding. We built the business from the ground up, and I ended up having to sue him, right? I wish I could go deeper into it. I can't at this present moment, but when I say just, totally different philosophies on how you treat clients, right? Which is way different philosophy. So long story short, I had to even sue him. And here's something that I learned, Kurt, and I'm still learning this, to be honest with you, is that you're not always going to be able to. That's just really the honest truth of it. Because if you're growing and scaling in business, unless you're bringing your family along with you, or people that you know forever, and you have total control over the company, because I'm 50% partner, he's 50% partner, which I never do a 50-50 again. Whatever he does affects me, right? And whatever I do affects him, right? And if, let's say, if we're working with the sponsor bank, whatever they do also affects us. So I think in the beginning, before we hit the record button, I was talking about, going from sales rep to what I thought was the owner of a company. I won't mention the company's name, but they're the biggest platform, or the third largest platform in America. They used to be number one. Now they're the third. And they're super unethical, if you ask me. to be honest with you, that extremely unethical. Matter of fact, you can't get any more unethical than this. But they have law firms for days. They have attorneys for days. They have billions and billions and billions of dollars. So what you gonna do about it? It's kind of like the thing. So, but that affects you. So that's why we became a full service provider, so that we can control the paper, so that we can control the flow of money. Because if you let someone who's unethical control the flow of money, you could be the most ethical person in the world, and your clients will get screwed over. So even though I have built this reputation for being an ethical person, for being skilled in my arena, there's some people who still I think didn't get what I wanted them to get. And I don't want to, point fingers and things like that, because that doesn't resolve anything, but it wasn't because of me. I can say it like that. It's people behind you and associated with you that are just so freaking greedy. And that affects you. So I'm kind of cleaning a lot of that up as we speak. And sometimes I have to sacrifice and go personally into my pocket, which I shouldn't have to do, because that's like, you and I, Kurt, we're rolling together. And then Kurt, you introduce me to Khalif or to Rhonda, and they say, hey, do business with KhaazRa. And then KhaazRa screws Rhonda over or Khalif over. It makes you look bad, even though you have nothing to do with it. So you have to make a decision, and just hopefully Rhonda believes you and Khalif believes that it wasn't you, or you got to go personally into your pocket and take care of some people, or just go out of your way to make sure that they're taken care of. But you can see how it would make you look a certain way, even though you had nothing to do with it. You're just trying to say, hey, here's a guy who I do business with, and that happens like that, right? It happens like that. And then also, there's a lot of clients out there who, sometimes I could be naive and gullible. And because I'm not out to try to rob or take advantage of anybody, but that doesn't mean other people aren't, right? And I know we're in this super positive world now, but the people out there that definitely are scheming and scamming all day long. And there were a lot of clients also that we were working with that I would go out and meet, talk to them. I'm breaking bread with them. I'm thinking that, they like me and I like them. But in the back of their mind, they're like, we're going to get this dude. And they brought a lot of bad business, man. A lot of bad business. And that was a wake-up call for me as well. So I got to watch my business partner for his schemes, right? Then you got to watch the clients for their schemes. And then you got to watch the bank because the bank is trying to get you too, right? Right? Everybody, sending you invoices that don't have nothing to do with anything. Like, wait a minute, you send me a $100,000 invoice for what? You didn't even do anything. Then you got to fight that. Then your partner's like, thinking like, how can I get extra money and take from this person, that person, and not tell me about it, right? Because I'm not going to be with that program. Then you got the clients who are processing, taking advantage of their clients, right? Which we can't allow to happen because we hold the risk on, but they get mad at you if you don't pay them to take advantage of people. Like if you take advantage of your clients, we can't pay you now. Like you got to bite that bullet, right? Then you got Visa, MasterCard saying, hey, wait a minute. You can't let card holders be taken advantage of. Give me that, right? So it's a circle. It's a cycle, and you have to have really, really, really good people around you. This is what I've learned now. Before I thought I could just do it myself and my business partner because I had my trust in him, like blind faith. No blind faith ever again. Like you cannot just trust people. So now I have the best payments attorney in the space, and the most ethical that I'm aware of. The absolute most ethical attorney in the space. I have a CFO that is extremely ethical as well. I spend a lot of money on surrounding myself with people who are way, 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 way smarter than me. Because like even just yesterday, I'll be honest with you, right? The last freaking year and a half, especially the last maybe 4 or 5 months, I've been getting pressure to sign certain documents. Come on, hurry up and sign. Let's get this thing going, right? And I can't say in detail what it is, but I really do need to sign it because otherwise I'm losing money, right? But if I sign this document that the other party wants me to sign, I'm going to be an indentured slave forever, right? And the contract is written up in a way where they can basically take money from me whenever they feel like it. And so it's like it's a balancing act for one, and also it's impossible to be like the best sales guy, the best marketing guy, and watch your six at the same time. So you got to have a team around you, like an expert attorney who says, don't sign that, because he can see what I can't see. And that happened to me in the last 2 years. If I had to sign certain documents, man, I'd probably be throwing boxes at warehouse at Walmart right now, right? And if I didn't have this CFO to say, hey, wait a minute, this doesn't look right, these numbers don't make sense. So I have people around me now. And then also I have one ace in the hole too, who I probably need to listen to a lot more. My wife, believe it or not, she's not in the payment space.
She's the best. Oh, she's the best. Hold on. You can't never respect the queen. She's the best. She gonna always have your best interest at heart.
Her intuition, she's more analytical than I am. She's a much better listener than I am. She's an underwriter, so she's analytical, but just her intuition, man, I don't know, dude. It's never been wrong. It's never been wrong. So
that's how women are, though. You should already know.
I know now.
No, that's good. That's good.
So that's how I've been doing it, man.
So would you consider your wife to be your business accountability partner, or do you have one of those?
You know what? I don't necessarily have one. I do need one, to be perfectly honest with you.
What about a mentor or coach?
Yes, I do have. You said coach?
A coach or a mentor?
Oh, I definitely have coaches and mentors, 100%. Oh, I pay big for that. I don't have an accountability partner though, and I do need that. But on this second round, Khalif, my accountability partner would be all these invoices coming in, right?
There we go.
There's millions of dollars coming in a month of invoices, so that would be my accountability partner, because I hold the risk. We can make $30 million in a month, but we can also lose 10 million. I hold the risk on that. That's a hell of accountability right there. So when you ask that question, I wouldn't hold that on my wife, because I don't want my wife having my worries. I want her to be taken care of, because she does so much. We have a baby who will be 2 years old soon.
Right.
I can't do what she do. Thank you, man. I can't take care of the home. I don't even know how women do all that. I can't do all of that.
There we go.
So I don't want to put that stress on her. Let me be stressed. Let me be worried. But, and then we cool. That's how I like it.
Hey, Rhonda, before you jump in, I just want to say to the people, he said something that was real important. He said he paid a lot for coaches and mentors. So I want the people out there to know that you have to pay for coaching. You have to pay for mentoring. You can't think people will do that stuff for you for free, right? So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Hey, Kurt, let me say this. Last year, I paid $100,000 to be in a group, right? Looking for mentoring and looking for coaching. And I got a little bit of it. It was really like a Hollywood type thing, with celebrities and stuff like that. And that was cool, but that's not really what I needed for my business. But every year, man, I'll spend at least, and sometimes I don't have the money. It may seem like I have the money, but I'll spend $250,000 like easy just on coaching. So recently in February, I paid $55,000. I put $25,000 down, and they take out $500 every week. So I feel it. I'm like, well, I got to, whatever they say do, I better hurry up and do, because I'm paying for it, right? I'm paying for it. I have another coach that I paid $15,000 for at the same time. And then I have another coach, I must have paid him at least $100,000 by now. Then I got another coach who I pay not a whole lot, but maybe just like a few $1,000s a year. And I tell you, man, wrong pipe. The more I listen to them and do what they say, break. The more I listen to them and do what they say, the better things become.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good.
That's good. So what is your why? Why do you do what you do instead of, because everybody else is unethical. Why do you do what you do? What is your why?
It's changed, Rhonda. I'll be honest with you. Initially, I did it because I wanted to just have more time with my family. And then I wanted to help people at the same time. And now, besides wanting to give my family a life that I didn't have, and a life that's just better, that we improve upon, now I want to do it because I want other people to see it could be done. I don't know if that sounds right, but I really want other people to. I want to be an example, like one of those lights out there to say, "Oh man, if he did it, then we can do it." Right. So I'm really doing it to show other people, hey, listen, I came from the mud. I came from a very, very broken family. My mom passed away. She got hooked on drugs, you know what I mean? Crack or whatever. And she ended up dying of AIDS, or either the cure for AIDS. I'm not sure which one it was. Father died of substance abuse. So I come from a very, very broken family, right? People going to jail, all this other kind of crazy stuff. And I feel like if I can even stick my head out to say, hey, listen, I'm still here and I'm thriving, that would give people in my family hope, because a lot of people in my family don't have any hope, right? Back in Detroit. Then I have a ton of other people that I grew up with. And you have people that I don't even know who may see me on social media. That's really the only reason I'm on social media, is I want people to say, you know what, here's a decent family, or here's a decent man, right? And maybe that will inspire them to do the same thing.
All right, so our next set of questions, we're going to do rapid fire questions. We're going to keep the answers to about 20 seconds, right? So what's the most important thing you learned in your entire life?
Man, that's a hard question, man. The most important thing that I learned in my entire life, okay, I got 15 seconds to answer this. Is how to get better every day. I'd say that. Because I'm struggling. I'm always struggling with it. How do I, I'm not perfect. How do I get better every day at home, at work? I'm always learning how to get better every day.
All right, cool.
So if you could turn back the time and talk to your 18-year-old self, what would you say?
I would immerse myself. I would find a mentor or a coach and immerse myself in it. That I would absolutely. At 18 years old, I was a knucklehead. I didn't know anything, right? I literally didn't know anything. I grew up in Detroit, so he was either a basketball person, a drug dealer, or that was pretty much it. It was sports or the drug game, or entertainer, like a rapper or something like that. So I would immerse myself in a coach that could teach me finance, or that can teach me life skills.
Okay, so if you could sit down and talk to anyone, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
It would be my mom, because my mom died very early, and yeah, it would be my mom, man. And you already know why you want to talk to your mom.
Right.
Nobody love you like your mom, right?
Your God.
Yeah.
Hey, so people always say you need to invest or save to invest. What's some things you think are good to invest in?
Right now, in this recession?
Yeah.
I'd say education, man, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I would really say education, because, crypto is down and up, and Bitcoin is down and up, and the stock market is obviously down as well. And I have some real estate myself, and, I haven't received consistent checks on it. So I would say in each case, if you're educated properly, you can avoid those down periods. And so even in the real estate game, I'm relying on someone else, where if I was educated enough or had another expert who knew more than me, then I can avoid not getting consistent checks. So education.
There we go.
What's one tool that makes your business run smoother?
Well, we have a lot of different, I would say having an excellent SOPs, for sure. Standard operating procedures, absolutely 100% SOPs, for sure.
Okay, dope. So if you could recommend one book, what would your recommendation be?
Ooh-wee. I'm sitting here in a library of books.
If you had to recommend one, though, which one would it be? If you just had to tell the people, this is the one book I would want you to read, which one would it be?
The one book that I recommend for everyone to read, and there's so many books I've read. Oh man, why y'all ask me such hard questions? Man, that is a tough question, man. That is a tough one. You have to give me a minute. You have to come back to me on that one.
All right. So what's one of your best tips to help make our community a better place to live?
Oh, so one of the best tips I would say is be productive, man. You know, I was talking to my daughter. I have a daughter as well. Telling her the other day, I said, hey, listen, you know, you take care of yourself and you clean up behind yourself, you do this, you do that, but you're not doing anything for anybody else. And I said, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. So what if you were working in a company and you see something that needs to be done, but if it's not your job, you're not going to do it. You're not helping the company. You're not helping yourself out, first of all, because you're not getting better every day, but you're also not helping the company. So I would just say, be productive. If there's something that you can do in your community, even if it doesn't benefit you, still do it, right? And you can't help everybody, but at least you could be the best you, which I think will help inspire other people. Because if you're the best you, you're going to pick up the trash when maybe you didn't throw it there, or you're going to help a lady across the street, right? There's so many things that you could do to help the community. So I would just say, be the best you that you could be.
How do you celebrate your wins?
I probably need to do a better job of that, to be honest. I do, because, you know, and sometimes I get into the trap of comparison as well. And I see what someone else has done, and I don't really necessarily think about what I've done. So I need to do a better job of that, to be honest with you. That's not one of my strong areas.
Okay, so wrapping it up, how can the people find you?
KhaazRa.com, KhaazRa.com, or you can just go KhaazRa MaaRanu it would be Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, anywhere.
All right, cool. Hey, we appreciate you, brother, for coming on. We had a blast. We appreciate all the tips. Payment processing. I know we're doing a bunch of stuff with a new company we started, so we'll be probably coming your way. We'll let you work out some of them kinks, and then we'll come on over so everybody don't reap the benefits of what we're trying to share with you. You guys, this is We Got Problems, and we also have solutions, and we're out.
Peace.
From the team at CRC Empire, we want to thank you for listening. To stay connected with us, like, share, and subscribe to the We Got Problems podcast. You can find us on social media platforms at Curtis Martin 247, at Rhonda Wrights Official, and at the_trash_vegan_. We got problems and we got solutions.